Yume Nikki needs no introduction. It's one of the most influential games of the early 2000s, being a huge inspiration for future indie games and inspiring many fan games. Like a lot of fan games. And these are only the ones on the Fangame wiki. I absolutely love this game. The way it just drops you in and lets you explore was unlike any experience I'd had before. You know what else I like? I've been playing Roblox for almost a decade now, and I'm almost ashamed to admit that I still play it at my age. On the surface, you find nothing of value here. It's like looking at the YouTube Kids tab. It just makes me sad. Dig a little deeper, and you'll find some games with somewhat competent design that you can tell had a lot of passion behind them. Even deeper, things get weird. One night I was playing some Yume Nikki fan games, and I saw I left my Roblox tab open. Then I had an idea come to me. I reckon there's a bit of overlap between these two communities. Even if it's only a little, I want to see it. So I punched Yume Nikki into the search bar and had a game called Dream World catch my eye. Dream World is by far the most popular Yume Nikki fan game on Roblox, and it's also the closest to the original. You go to sleep, find some doors, walk through them to access dreams, and collect effects. A lot of the worlds in this game feel kind of derivative from Yume Nikki or other fan games. Like, this is the White Desert, this is the Mural World, this is the sewers, this is Okay, the Hilux area is actually really cool. At first I wasn't too big on this. I felt kind of like, well, I've already seen these worlds before, I'm retreading old ground. But in retrospect, I think they're pretty cool. I get to explore them in 3D, which I haven't done before, and also it's cool to see a different person's take on these ideas. The original worlds are often the coolest ones though. I especially love the cult area and the playground, and the Nexus is even really cool. This game is great at mimicking the tone of Yume Nikki. It knows when to be a bit more out there with the settings. On the topic of visuals, I love the art assets used for the characters. They remind me of the hand-drawn assets from Yume Nikki, which is really cool. Another sweet detail is that the time of day can change when you wake up. It can be morning, night, meat. These events are the main draw of the game for me. I feel like it's something that other fan games on Roblox are lacking. I especially love the one in the school. The school is already a pretty creepy area. You start in a hallway and you can hear children coming from one of the 3 rooms. The first room you enter is where you get the voodoo doll effect, which is already really weird to have in a school. And the second room has an NPC that won't show their face to you no matter where you angle your camera. The third room is where you find those children. They get a lot louder and they look like this. Now, this is great, the way it shows you the first 2 rooms with characters drawn in the usual style, only to betray that trust with this third room. Kinda caught me off guard. Anyway, if you go back to that room with the NPC that won't show their face to you, and you kill them, well... An unkillable NPC shows up at the door, and when you return to the classroom with the children, it falls silent, and all the children stare at you. Yeah, this game as a whole definitely falls on the more unsettling, horror-themed side of Yume Nikki fan games. I won't spend time talking about the other worlds, because I had a lot to say about just this one, and there's 39 of them. I'd be here all day if I talked about the other worlds. But the game has all sorts of stuff like this. There's some tranquil worlds, but they're few and far between. If you're into the horror side of Yume Nikki fan games, then definitely check this one out. Jeep.zone, or jeep.zone as I will be calling it, is a strange one. It doesn't have a hub world like the other games. You just start it up and you're in. One of the first things I noticed was the jump sound effect. Whoa, haven't had that one in years. Awesome. This whole game feels pretty nostalgic for old Roblox, you know, with the old jump sound and the stud textures and the sword fight area with all the guests and shit. I usually find nostalgia bait kind of annoying, but it's spaced out enough here that I think it fits in and adds to the experience. Something nice is that you can sprint right off the bat by pressing shift. There's no speed effect to unlock because, well, this game has no effects. In fact, there's no collectible of any kind, not unless you count the items you can find laying around, but those aren't really a collectible because you can't take them to other zones. Your only reason to explore is to find more zones. Luckily, this game does a great job at giving the player that intrigue that makes you want to keep exploring. The worlds are diverse and interesting. It makes it feel like the deeper you go, the stranger and more unsettling they become. Except for this maze area. One common thing with Yume Nikki fan games is they all have this stupid big maze. Even Dream World from earlier had one. I don't get it though. The maze area from Yume Nikki is one of the worst worlds. Why does every fan game need it too? I don't know, I probably shouldn't complain, because this is the only area I don't like in jeep.zone. The rest range from alright to really good. This game is a departure from the Yume Nikki formula, and with that, all the worlds have a very original feel to it. It's a bit of a shame there isn't that many. This game only has 27 worlds, and with its final update releasing while I was making the script, that's all we're getting. Anyway, back to the good stuff. I love how there's recurring stuff, like the flag, references to Vietnam, this weird circle-faced guy. I like this because I feel like most people have recurring characters in their dream. I always see my family or friends in my dreams. Wait, is this game even taking place in dreams? I mean, you don't go to sleep or anything, and the areas are called zones, not dreams. I guess you start next to a bed, but I don't know. This game definitely feels like dreams though, probably about the player character's life, kinda like scattered memories. I feel like this is one of the most interesting parts of the game. Unlike some other games, this one has text. You can read books and talk to NPCs and stuff like that to gain insight to the life of the protagonist. Alright, now before I talk more about this game, I feel like I should just give a little quick content warning for everything on screen. This game gets pretty dark, and I don't mean like Yume Nikki where it can be interpreted in a dark way. jeep.zone is very upfront with its themes, and if you're okay with that, then maybe don't play this one. Alright, this game caught me off guard, especially for something on Roblox. Like, I went from chilling out and drinking Bloxy Cola to finding a dead baby. Lots of the zones aren't as scary as they are disturbing. There's zones about nihilism, zones about trauma, zones about loss. It's a lot to take in. I never knew what kind of experience I was in for when I discovered a new zone. There's an event that can happen when you go to this place called Stone. Your only path is a strip of lights, so you... Huh? What? Anyway, you follow the... No, okay. I find this stuff really cool, mainly the part where it resends the default help message. It's great because when it first happened I wasn't sure if it was the game or Roblox freaking out. Oh shit. Yeah, there's a guy that chases you, and when he gets you, you get kicked with this message. Although you can juke him and keep walking. Eventually you'll find this orb thing, and instead you get kicked with this message. There's a lot of things in this game that end up with you getting kicked. Some areas give you kicked messages when you reset, which is kind of weird for me to think about. I mean, to get this message, I had to kill myself, and then it insults me for it. Fuck. Anyway, jeep.zone was a very intriguing experience. It doesn't have an ending or anything, but that was in the description. I shouldn't have expected one. I definitely recommend it to anyone who likes the disturbing things in these games. Oh yeah, and you need to be in the Roblox group to access the game. Not sure why, but it is what it is, I guess. Visare, or Visare, look, the devs don't know, I'll be calling it Visare, is a collaborative effort between several developers, some with backgrounds making their own Yume Nikki fan games on Roblox. You get a couple of options on the title screen. You can play the game, read some tutorials. The settings menu lets you change the color of your menu, which is neat, and you can select different characters. You can either use your Roblox avatar or pick between Tasoni and Mitsuroki, a male and female variant of the protagonist. By default, they both have brown hair, white shirt, and blue pants, but if you don't like this, they have a customization menu. You can get pretty crazy with this, but I just made mine look like Madosuki. But wait, while I was making the script, they actually put Madosuki in the game, and Urosuki too. The game opens up pretty standard. You're in a room, and you go to sleep, and you wake up in a dream version of that same room. Now I hate to start with negatives, but I've got a lot of problems with this UI. There's three parts: the menu, the effect prompt, and the player list. The button on the side is for mobile users, but to someone on PC it's just a massive eyesore you can't get rid of. Something else that's kinda strange is this is the only way to know which key activates effects. Even the tutorials don't tell you this. The player list is really cool. It shows the players in the color that they use for their menu, which is a really sweet detail. It's not too intrusive unless there's 5 or so people in the lobby, which is rare, so I don't actually have footage of it. My only real issue is that you can't turn it off. It'd be nice to be able to hit tab and make it go off screen, and then tab again to make it reappear like the normal Roblox player list. The menu button at the top isn't obstructive at all. My problem comes from the font they use. It gives you the prompt for the menu, but what key do you press to open it? The font makes it hard to tell if it wants you to press L or I. Even in the other menus, L and I look similar. This is usually fine, most fonts have the same problem. The problem is that you aren't supposed to press either of these, the actual menu button is 1, which also looks very similar to both L and I in this font. Alright, enough bitching about the menu. Down the hallway there's a standard Nexus area with 5 doors, but you can find worlds in the main part of the room too. There's 10 teleports in the Dream Hub. 4 in the room, and 6 in the Nexus. I know I said the Nexus only has 5 doors, but there's also a desk. It looks a little out of place. I feel like they should have had it back in the room somewhere. Well, guess what? This game got an update while I was editing, and it changed half of what I just said. The hub is now a whole house to explore, and it even has the classic balcony. They moved the desk out of the Nexus, and now you can do this. Hell yeah. My only problem with the new hub is that when you walk down the hallway, I don't come out facing the doors. It's kinda awkward. I know I've talked a lot about this game before even going to any of the worlds, but I want to quickly praise the design of these doors. This is a minor thing with these games, but it's important to make sure they all represent their worlds clearly. I feel like Yume Nikki lacked that communication. Like, I want to go to the Puddle World, but I can't remember which door it's through. You'd think since Puddle World is dark, it would be through a dark door, but no, it's through this bright red one. It feels wrong. The worlds of Visare are very calming and beautiful. Rarely does it dip its toes into horror. It has a handful of spooky worlds, but they're pretty uncommon. You're mostly treated to cozy, tranquil worlds. Sometimes I like booting up this game and just chilling out. I think this is the best time to talk about one of the biggest strengths of Yume Nikki fan games on Roblox. The fact that they're all multiplayer. It's not super common because of how niche these games are, but sometimes you'll bump into someone exploring the same dreams as you. It can be a little immersion breaking sometimes, but it's an experience I can't find anywhere else. Each world becomes its own little chat room. Sometimes when I come back to these games, I'll bump into the same person a few times, and I think what makes this special is that it doesn't happen often. Well, Dreamworld usually has a couple of people playing it, but all of the other ones are sitting at 0 for most of the day. Visare's biggest strength is definitely its scale. It currently has 56 worlds, with more on the way soon. Most of my enjoyment comes from just taking in the scenery, with the effect collecting taking a bit of a back seat. The effects are pretty normal, but I'd like to talk about the speed effect, because it's one of my favorites from any fan game I've played. You do this little movement challenge, and afterwards you unlock the twirl effect. While twirling, you move really fast, but you cannot control your movement well. You slide around all the place like the floor's made out of ice. Aside from already being pretty fun to use, I think my favorite part about this is that it's just something different. It's a nice change from the usual effects that just increase your walk speed or something boring like that. Though I will admit, some worlds are hell to use this with, and I kind of wish there was also a normal effect. I think a good balance to strike would have a normal movement effect that makes you go a bit faster, but not as fast as twirl. Oh yeah, and whatever you do, don't touch water while you're twirling. Visare was the hardest to write the script for, not because I was struggling to find things to say, but because whenever I wrote something in, there's a good chance it'll get patched. Like, no effects when I started writing, but then pow, there's like 9 of them. This puzzle takes you nowhere. Fixed. You can see this door through. I reported this and they fixed it in 65 minutes. No thumbnail, they added one. And then they revised it. This game is constantly changing, and I'd recommend it to anyone who wants a less surreal and more calming Yume Nikki experience. While I only talked about my 3 favorites, I don't want to dismiss the mountain of other fan games on this platform. There is a treasure trove of creativity hidden within here, and probably plenty that I didn't discover. So here's a quick montage of the games that I'd recommend but couldn't talk about to end the video.